Test, test. All right, that sounds good. How's it going, guys? It's Jordy here, Cranky Yankee. Hold on one second. I got to plug the light in. It's a little dark right now. There we go. So, I've been talking to my mom over the last year or so, and I'd mentioned how a few times I've mentioned this, how I'd really like to move to Canada in the future. Like, once my son's older and he's medically more stable and just financially it's a little easier. And she goes, why the hell do you want to move to Canada? And I told her, like, well, I said, I like that. I was like, well, because I like their healthcare system and everything. And here's the thing about Canada. They're kind of socialist in that. I was just watching a video or a live stream of Shannon, also known as a hockey guy from BC. And they're talking about, first off, they're talking about one of my favorite things in the world that I missed since moving to Florida. And that's poutine. Now, I'm American, but I'm from a place I'm very close to Canada. When I was growing up, I was about 15 minutes from Canada. Like, it was a 50-minute drive from my house to the Canadian border. So I was really close. And all the places where I grew up sold poutine too, or poutine. We called it poutine, but they call it poutine. I don't know. Poutine. It's been pronounced both ways. Most Canadians pronounce poutine. I'm American, so I screw it up. But it's basically what it is. For those of you who don't know, it's French fries with cheese curds and beef gravy. And it has to be cheese curds, not shredded cheese. A lot of people where I'm from call it American poutine if it's like mozzarella cheese instead of cheese curds. That's very good too, but that's just cheese fries. It's not poutine. Poutine has to be cheese curds. Actually, if throw bacon bits in, it's really good too. But that's amazing. It's delicious. Anybody who has the opportunity to have real poutine, that's cheese curds and beef gravy and French fries, it's really freaking good. I highly recommend it. But then they were talking about their healthcare system, and my mom was like, "Well, that's expensive." And she goes, "Well, how do you feel about if you pay this and somebody down the street pays less than you?" And it's like, well, it's first off, it's income based. So, I may pay $150 a month, and the guy down the street may pay $75 a month, but I may make $20,000 more a year than the guy down the street that pays $75. If I'm paying, let's say, 10% of my income, my yearly income on insurance, and I'm paying $150 a month, because that would be like 15 grand or something a year or whatever. I don't know. And the guy down the street pays 75, but he's still paying 10% of his income. Then in my opinion, I'm like, well, then he's spending the same amount of money as me. I mean, not mathematically the same amount, but figure it, like, in the whole picture, he's spending just as much on, like, he's spending the same amount of his monthly income on insurance as I am. Just I make more, so I spend more. That sounds fair to me. And Shannon was saying how for him, his wife, and their 3 kids, it's a family of 5. For the maximum that he would pay a month for his entire family is 250 Canadian dollars, which is probably like less than maybe like 230, 235 American. But even if it was 250 American, still, imagine having a family of 5, you, your wife or husband, and your kids, and you spend $250. And that's the extended. That's not the basic. The maximum is like $75 if you're a single, for like 150 for would be like 150 for the whole family had the basic. But when you have the extended, you get 80% dental, 80% vision, and 80% prescriptions. And the basic includes your doctor's visits, your ER visits, just your basic stuff. And people a lot of Americans shit on the Canadian healthcare system, because we hear about a lot of Canadians down here. They're like, oh, we come down here because, it's cheaper, blah, blah, blah. And, it's easier for them to get prescriptions and everything. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's the other side of it. But this, if you live close to the border, then, use your Canadian insurance and then just come get your scripts here. Big deal. Who the fuck cares? If it's not illegal, then what's the deal? I mean, I don't think it's illegal to do that. I'm pretty sure Americans don't give a shit. Their money's good here. As long as we're getting money, we don't fucking care. That's all we care about. We're Americans. We're all about money. So as long as we're making money off it, who cares? That's why I don't understand why they don't want to legalize marijuana already. Tax the shit out of it. We're gonna make a ton of money. Look at Washington. Look at Oregon. Look at Colorado. Look at Vermont. Well, Vermont just legalized it. Look at Alaska, Massachusetts. These are all states where it's legal now. They're making bank on these tax money, people. If we need to be okay, all you politicians out there, just grow the fuck up, get with fucking program, and legalize that shit already. And also, you should legalize prostitution as well. I'm not personally a person that's ever purchased a prostitute, and I never intend to. However, I don't think there's anything wrong with it as long as it is like consensual to adults. And it's like, look, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Honestly, it's like, and I look at Nevada as like, look, if it's regulated, then that means the girls will be clean, and and all this, and there's a lot of things you can put into motion to make sure that it's safe for both the client and the proprietor and things like that. And it's just, why not? It's just make it one of those things where, like, those places where that doesn't, if you're into that, you go there. If you're not, you stay away. You don't need to put them in the next to a fucking church. I mean, but seriously, like, if you have to put them like a certain distance out of the city or whatever, that's fine too. But it's like, look, that's fine, whatever. You can regulate that shit. Same thing with marijuana. And then if you legalize marijuana, guess what? You're not going to worry about anybody getting it laced with shit anymore, because the government will regulate it, and they'll have tests for all that shit, and they'll make sure that it's all good and it's not going to hurt you. I'm not going to do anything other than what it's supposed to do. It's like alcohol, because when they made alcohol legal, they were cutting fucking alcohol with God knows what. People were dying and going blind and having really serious health problems because of bathtub gin and shit. Because America was like, no, fuck that. Alcohol's legal. Alcohol's the devil. Now, honestly, I would say this. I think alcohol is harmful to us. It's more harmful to us as a society than marijuana. And I would be okay with making alcohol legal and making marijuana legal. But I don't think that they'll ever make alcohol legal again. I mean, it can cause some serious problems with people, but there are much worse things out there. Not that I'm condoning alcohol and drinking and being an alcoholic, because that runs rampant in my family, and I'm very rarely drink. As a matter of fact, I am drinking tonight, but it's the first time I've had a drink in like 2 or 3 weeks, and I'll probably have one drink, and then I probably won't drink again for a month. I don't even get drunk off it. I just like the taste. I like rum. I'm a rum drinker. I like rum and Coke. Sometimes I just feel like I want to have the taste. I mean, I don't even make them strong enough to really get me drunk. I just like the way it tastes. I like I'm not a person where I don't drink to get drunk. I drink because I like the taste. I'm more of a connoisseur, I guess. And I prefer rum. But yeah, but that's the main reason why I want to move to Canada, because it's a much more, to me, I've known a lot of Canadians. I've spent some time in Canada. I love Canada because I'm a person, I love the cold weather. It's like 50 degrees right now in Florida. You see, I'm bundled up in a sweatshirt. Speaking of which, yeah, where I live, this is Vermont, guys. Where I'm from is like right up top here, this little corner. I'm from like just past the border up here. That's where I grew up, was right there in that little teeny spot in there. Yeah, next to the lake. Was it there? Yeah. Because it's flat side. There's no side with the lake. Weird. I was just thinking about that, because the flat side's the side that the lake's on. The curvy side's the side in New Hampshire, because they like a unique thing. Anyways, getting off topic. But yeah, that's it. That's all I really had to say. I mean, I should have a lot more better reasons than that, but I really do like their healthcare system. And it might be hard to get in to see people all the time, which isn't great with my son, but at the same time, I feel like if this YouTube ever goes anywhere and I start making enough money to where I can have this be my job and this will be my income, that's all I'll have to do, then I can live anywhere and do this, guys. And I do want to cover hockey at some, maybe not exclusively, but I do want to do some hockey stuff on this channel. And it's a little difficult for me to do here. Like, I can do the SPHL, but I tried that this year, and that it's hard for me because it's a really low level minor league, and a lot of the players on the team get called up to other teams in the ECHL and different things, and the roster's constantly in flux throughout the entire season. Now the playoffs here are starting pretty quick, and I think for the playoffs, I'm pretty sure those people who are up are going to stay up, and those that aren't going to get called up. So I think that when they get everybody back, and they pretty much got everyone back now. I know my favorite player, Garrett Milano, was playing for Atlanta for a while. I think he had he signed like a 2-week contract with the Atlanta Gladiators, which is an ECHL team, which is the next level up. And I believe, because I know Pittsburgh has an ECHL team. That's another thing I was thinking about too. Maybe I could cover the ECHL, which is the next league up. And it's interesting because it would tie in with the Pensacola Ice Flyers, because the Pensacola Ice Flyers, when they first became a hockey team, the first inception was they were originally called the Ice Pilots, and they were an ECHL team. For those of you who don't know, the ECHL is the East Coast Hockey League. It's right below the American Hockey League. And the American Hockey League is right below the NHL. If you want to think of it in baseball terms, the AHL is a AAA hockey league. The ECHL is a AA hockey league, and the SPHL, or the Southern Professional Hockey League, that's the one that Pensacola is now part of, is a single A hockey league. And we also have AA baseball here in Pensacola too. The Blue Wahoos are Cincinnati Reds affiliate, I believe. But I think there's like 28, or I think there's 32 teams in the ECHL, and I think 28 of them are affiliated with NHL teams, which I find weird. I'm like, why is it that because we have 31, soon to be 32 teams in the NHL. All but 4 have ECHL teams. Why? Are they waiting? And then Seattle's going to be 32. Now there's enough ECHL teams for every NHL team to have a team. So maybe they'll just buy the last 4, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure. I want to say Atlanta, I think, is a Boston Bruins affiliate. I'm not sure, but I think so. I know that the SPHL, none of the teams in the SPHL are affiliated with any NHL team, which kind of sucks, but is kind of cool at the same time. Because I can't think right now. Because they don't have any big money people telling them what to do, so they kind of just can run the league and run the teams how they want to. And the cool thing about that is that has opened the door for a lot of really interesting formats and rule changes. Because I know that some of the differences in the SPHL to most other leagues in at least North America is there's no restriction on curve with your stick. I'm not really sure. I haven't played hockey in a long time. I never really played on a team as a kid. I played pond hockey with my friends. I played a lot of pond hockey. I loved to play hockey, but I couldn't play on a team because I couldn't afford it. And I'm also 5'4", so I'm not exactly built like a hockey player. Which is funny because I was always that little ratty, aggravating little defenseman that would just get in everybody's face. Because I was really fast and I could shoot okay, but I couldn't really body check. But I was good with my stick, so I was really fast and was able to poke the puck loose. And I'd always taunt people and pick fights with people. But no one ever wanted to fight me because they're like, "No, Jordan, I'll hurt you." And I'm like, "No, it's because you know that there's a good chance that I'll hurt you and hurt you too." I'm not saying you're not. I'm not saying I wouldn't get hurt. I'd get my ass whooped, but I'd take a piece of them with me. That's how I am. I had 3 fights in my life, and I won all 3 of them because nobody expects a little 5'4", 120-pound guy to just haul off and punch you not without warning. I'm like, that's because that's what I have. I'm small. I have to use the element of surprise. So I jaw with them, get them all frustrated, and get them off their game, and the next thing you know, whap right in the mouth. Or you kick them in the nuts. And guys, in real life, there's those things a fair fight. You go in any way you can. I mean, don't kill the person, for Christ's sake. That's just, that's against the law. Not that fighting somebody isn't, because technically beating somebody up is against the law too. Getting with a fight with somebody in public is against the law. I'm not exactly sure what the charge would be. It was something like that. Being violent in public, or I don't know, disturbing the peace, probably. But yeah. I made this a live stream because I wanted to make a video, but I wanted to use my computer. So I was like, I'm just going to do a live stream and then I'll just post it. If anybody wants to come in and talk to me, that's cool. But I was kind of just making a video. Yeah, let me guys know what you think. And if you guys ever been to Canada, let me know what you guys think of Canada. Would it be a place that you would want to move to? If you haven't been there, is it a place you want to visit? If you haven't been there, I do highly recommend it. Don't let the whole "it's Canada, it's cold" thing scare you away, because in the summer it's beautiful. Same thing where I'm from. Like, it's where I'm from, it gets real cold in the wintertime. Like, I've remembered days or weeks, even like generally February. Generally, the entire month of February, it's not warmer than 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and will usually drop to 20 or 30 below Fahrenheit for weeks. Well, I say a month, so that's at least 4. But it is not out of the even uncommon to even have a week where it's like negative 20 every single day. I remember growing up and looking at the temperature, being like, "Whoa, it's 0! We're having a heat wave," and thinking that it felt great when it was 0 degrees outside, especially when it's sunny. Because even in the wintertime, that sun's warm. I mean, it ain't nothing like down here in Florida. Holy crap. Living in Florida, it feels like you live on a goddamn skillet or griddle or something. Like, I feel like I'm baked constantly. And I don't mean that in a drug way. I mean, like, I feel like I'm living on a frying pan. Because that sun feels so much more intense down here than where I'm from. I mean, it's intense where I'm from, but only during the summer. But down here, it just seems like it's closer. It feels like the sun's closer down here. I know it's not. I know it, like, like, logically, the sun's not any closer to me living in Florida than it was living in Vermont. But it seems that way. It's weird how science and physics makes that the perception as a human, as it feels like you're, because people, that's people describe it like, "Oh, the sun's closer in Florida." It's like, well, no, it's not. The Earth isn't any closer to the sun, technically, because in the summer it's tilted towards the sun. So as a matter of fact, the northern places are technically tilted towards the sun, and Florida and the central and like the equator is more pointed like towards the bottom of the sun. And then in the winter, it's the opposite. So the northern part's like shooting off up over the sun, so they're not even facing the sun. And then like central part's like directly on it. That's why in the wintertime, it's still really hot down here. It can get cold though. And here's the thing about Florida versus Vermont. Florida is very humid, even in the wintertime. And people don't think, like, because it's generally like 40, 50 degrees. Like right now, it's technically still kind of winter because it's the end of March and it's 52 degrees. It's also 2 a.m. But it's 52 degrees right now. It's kind of chilly. Like, I'm cold. I'm not like super cold, but like I'm a little chilly out here. Like, I was outside and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be cool." It's like, "Oh, it's gonna be cold in the shed." Not really cold, but like cold for here. But it's because it's humid. It's a cold that sticks to you. It cuts right through, and there's no amount of layers you can put on that it's going to stop that chill from getting through. In Vermont, you can, because it's dry. You layer yourself up, you can be toasty roasty right around, walking around in your winter jacket. And like usually what I would wear is this, and then I would put on a toque, or I would use a ball cap sometimes, and I'd put my thick winter jacket over this, and then I'd also have long johns and usually fleece line jeans at the very least, or snow pants, or I call them work pants because I got the ones that were Carhartt and they were like denim, but they were really thick. They had a thick liner in them and they were really warm. They were almost kind of like chaps, but they were like cold weather chaps. But they were like pants, so it wasn't like just clip on like you would for logging. They looked like chaps, but they were actually bare pants. Also, hunting too, we used to wear wool pants. Like, I used to have a pair of actual green wool pants. Those things were so freaking warm when it's like 0 degrees out. It's great. But a funny thing is, we would actually that's what I would wear down here, actually, because when I usually wore that was for hunting, and that was in November when it's like it is down here in Florida. It's when it's starting to get cold, but it's still humid. And usually the snow, if we get it, it's really wet. It's wet, sloppy snow, which is like early winter, late spring snow. And then in the middle of the winter, when my birthday in February, it's frigid fucking tundra. It's like Siberia. Not quite, because Siberia is like -60, but it's close. I mean, Vermont gets as cold as like the southern parts of Alaska. I mean, northern Alaska is like Siberia. It's ridiculously fucking cold. But the southern parts and even like the Aleutians and the island chains and stuff, like it gets as cold as Vermont gets as cold as there. And where I'm from, Vermont, it's right next to a lake, sixth largest lake in the country, actually. The only lakes bigger than Lake Champlain are the Great Lakes. They were trying to make it a Great Lake like 20 years ago, but didn't really work out. I think it was about 15 or 20 years ago. Yeah, they tried to like make it one of the official Great Lakes, but I guess the government decided that it just they were like, well, it's not a Great Lake. Well, it's not, obviously. Same area, but it's not a Great Lake. But they basically gave it the same rights as the Great Lakes with like environmental study and protections and different things like that. So it's like there's all kinds of protected species and there's all kinds of reserves and refuges all around the lake for different species of animals and stuff, because Vermont's really into that. Vermont's really into like, you know, the environment and keep things safe, green and clean. And there's no billboards. Billboards are illegal. It is illegal to put up a billboard in the state of Vermont anywhere. It's illegal. I tell people down here that they're like, what? They're like, wait, there's no billboards? I'm like, yeah, there's not a single billboard in sight in Vermont. And I'm like, and it's beautiful. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I hate billboards. I fucking hate billboards. I think billboards are stupid. I can kind of see them on like interstates and stuff. Once, not every fucking quarter mile, like every mile, every 2 miles, every 3 miles, sure. Because it's always helpful to be like, oh, there's a rest area coming up and things like that. But there's also a lot of street signs you can get to convey the same kind of information. And you don't need to have a billboard advertising like Checkers or fucking Tchotchkes or something, or Schlotzkes or whatever the heck that places over on Creighton is. You know, advertising, you can just say, you know, lodging or gas or food, like it doesn't in Vermont. Like you don't have a billboard that states what restaurants there are, but you have these little signs. I don't know if they have them. I don't think I've really ever paid attention to see them down here. I'm assuming they do, but they also have billboards. So since you have billboards, I don't think you would even notice the actual legal street sign if it was there, even if it was. But it'll have like, you know, a gas pump on it and then a picnic table, and the picnic table is like lodging. Of course, in Vermont, lodging can the idea of the definition of lodging where I'm from is very relative, very general. Because lodging could be as simple as, yeah, we got a tent campsite we can rent you, and that's the only place to sleep in town. Like there are places, many, and not just Vermont, New Hampshire, and New York, and a lot in northern Maine. Northern Maine's really remote. I've been there. I went to school in Maine. Maine's really, really a lot like Vermont. It's just with an ocean basically, and a lot more people, but spread out through a larger state, so it doesn't really feel like there are any more people, unless you're in Portland. But yeah, there's no billboards. It's beautiful. It's so green, and Florida's kind of green. Like Florida's green. There's a lot of trees and stuff, and people are like, "Oh, Florida's green." I'm like, no. Florida's not the same kind of green. Florida's brown. People they're like, it's not brown. I'm like, yeah, it's brown. Look at the grass. The grass is brown. Look at the trees. They're brown and green. Yes, there's a lot of green, but there's as much brown as there is green. There's no brown in Vermont. It's all green. The goddamn lawns up there are like comforters on your bed. I've never slept on a more comfortable ground than in Vermont. My God, the grass is so damn lush there. It's like a carpet. Down here, it's like sandy. It's like dirt. It's just dirt with some grass in it. There's no dirt in Vermont. The dirt's like a foot underground. You got to dig for the dirt. It's all grass. It's all plants. Beautiful. And in fall, oh, that's the best time of year. Fall is the best time of year up there because there's every goddamn color you can imagine in them trees. You got yellow and orange and red and purple. Yes, there are purple. I've seen like burgundy and purple and like plum colored ones. And it's just, it's crazy. You see pictures online and it doesn't do it justice. But people looking like, oh, that's so pretty. And I'm like, yeah, I drive down the interstate in Vermont. You see that every day. I love driving through Vermont. Like I used to do a bread route. I used to travel all over the state of Vermont, and that was one of my most favorite jobs ever because of the travel, the fucking sights I would see. Oh, it was beautiful. There ain't nothing like driving through the mountains, and it's just it's just up and down, and you just see trees. It's just nothing but trees all the way there. There's no houses, there's no buildings. It's just fucking trees. It's all wilderness. It's gorgeous. It's almost like you get that first experience that, maybe Christopher Columbus or Lewis and Clark or any of those early explorers of this continent, early Western explorers, I should say, or even you can even go back, even the Paleo Indians, like the first time that I hiked to the top of Mount Norris probably about 5 years ago before I moved down here, which is not a big mountain, like 2,000 feet. So it's not real big. It took us all day to hike to the top and back. So, I mean, it's a good hike. You're out all day. We got there by about 10 o'clock. We were back by about 5. So that's 7 hours. No, it's 9 hours. 9 hours. So, I mean, it's like a whole work day, like an 8-hour shift out of work, at 4 hours up, 4 hours down. So it's not too bad. But you get on the top and there's this little lake. It's Lake Eden. That's what it is. Lake Eden right next to it. And it's this little finger lake out in the mountains. And there's lots of cliffs. You see eagles, and there's always eagles and hawks and stuff flying around. And you look over, and all you just see is you see this entire lake from end to end. And it's just mountains and trees around the whole thing. And you have to think, wow, is this what it looked like when they first came over here? Like, it's literally getting almost the exact same feeling and exact same experience as the first Western people that came over here and saw these sites for the first time. It is breathtaking. Literally. I'm not even being, I'm literally saying that generally. And that's why I love to hike, especially in New England, because when you get to the top of one of those mountains and you see all them trees, it literally takes your breath away. I would just stand there and just look for a solid 5-10 minutes and not say a word just because there's no words to describe that. It's amazing. And I tell everybody, you got to do that once in your life. That's a bucket list kind of thing right there. And I used to do that all the time. And that's one of the coolest parts about growing up in Vermont is that there's a lot of stuff that you can do, flip the switch really easily in no time at all. And you can do it every day if you want to in Vermont that you can't do in other places. And a lot of those things you can do every day in Vermont are bucket list things for other people. And that's a big reason why I missed that. And that's also a big reason why I hate how there's such a bad heroin problem in that state right now, because it's making that state it's really bringing that state down. And it's really too bad because unfortunately the state's got no money. It's so freaking poor. Like, tourism is what they have. Other than that, we have maple syrup and milk. And we can't make money off milk because California sets the price. So you got a state that's got, 10 million people or some crazy shit, 100 million people. I don't freaking know. A lot. And probably more cows than there are people in the whole state of Vermont. And they can dictate the price of milk when it's like, we can't make money off that price. You can make money off that price because you got 20,000 cows. In Vermont, most farms don't have that many. They got 5 hay. Well, now they don't. Now there's honestly, and this is a crazy part. I'm 30, right? I grew up in rural dairy country in Vermont. I remember how many farms there was growing up. My grandfather used to have a farm. He used to have a dairy farm. I used to go and work on my grandfather's dairy farm every summer. I used to hay. I used to feed the calves. I used to clean shit pits. I know that's rough. They're called shit pits. It's the gutters, but we call them shit pits. And our boots were shit kickers. Sorry, I'm going to get a little redneck with my talk because I'm talking about the farm, but it's got me weird. I loved working on a farm. I wouldn't want that to be my career. I'd love to work a part-time job at a farm, but you can't really work part-time at a farm. You do 12-hour shifts at the farm. You just kind of help it out unless you work a 12-hour shift. You're not really employed unless you're working 12-hour shifts. Anyways, yeah. If I had maybe 100 cows, 200 cows, you can't make money doing that now. And I bet you that of all the farms that were around and were functioning and still open and doing what farms do when I was a kid, I'd probably say 20% of all the farms in Vermont that existed when I was a kid are left. Only 20%. And that 20% bought up the other 80. Because that 20% basically they just became big corporate farms. They bought all the other land, all the other farms. Now they each got 15, 20,000, 10, 15, 20,000 cows. They milk 24 hours a day. It's crazy. They got this milking parlor and there's big table and it's circular, right? And there's probably like 100 little stalls for the cows and it rotates. It's like freaking Wheel of Fortune. It's wheel of milk. It's the wheel of milking. And it moves one slot and then the cow gets in, they lock it in, they goes, and they do that. They keep doing that. And it moves really slowly because, you know, you're constantly putting a cow in and strapping up and then taking on the other side, they're unhooking one and putting them back out in the farm or on the pasture. And during the time that they go around, you got people down on the sides that are hooking up the machines to them. So they just go in there, sit, and they're chewing, they're eating their cud, and then you're just like, put them on, like, hold them up, they milk, and they come around and you let them go. 24 hours a day. You have to have 20,000 cows in order to do that. If you're doing 100 cows at a time and it takes 10 minutes to milk a cow, do them 100 at a time. I mean, you have to milk all day in order to milk them because you have to milk them. If you don't milk them, they're going to get sick. That's the odd thing people don't understand. Yeah, it's probably not right for because what they do to make cows produce milk is it kind of trick them into like constantly having the hormones for when they have kids. Like they'll breed them and then, or they'll breed one or two or something, and then like it'll like cause training action and like all their hormones going because there's calves in the farm. You keep the calves separate, but close enough to where the mama cows know they're there, so that they continually produce milk. Because a woman doesn't have to have ever had a baby to start lactating. Because even a woman that's never had a child, like if she started taking care of one, like her body could instinctually react and start producing milk. It's crazy. So, I mean, you know, you get calves in there, then they all start thinking they have babies, and that's why they do it. So yeah, it's probably not right of us as humans to do that, but at the same time, it's such a symbiotic relationship at this point that at least the farms that I worked at, the cows were treated very well. We didn't beat our cows. They weren't pets, but we cared for them. I mean, we were caretakers of animals. That's what we were. We were stewards of our farms. And that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to love your animals. You love your cows, you treat them good, and that goes for chickens or horses or any other kind of thing you have on your farm. You know, if you care for them and you love them, not necessarily as pets, because a lot of them you use them for food. So you might want to keep that disconnect between pet, just so you could eat it if you had to, or if you chose to. But still treat them with kindness and respect, because if you treat them well, then they're going to be better producers for you and make you more money. And then, you will benefit them. It's like a you scratch my back, I scratch your back, mutual kind of thing. And people are like, well, you know, I'll just go in and set them free. Like, the fuck are you going to do? You're going to go and open the barn door? Go ahead. Do it. Most of those cows will stand there and stare at you and be like, the fuck am I supposed to do? They aren't smart enough to leave. You can't let them free because they aren't smart enough to take care of themselves in the wild. They get attacked by coyotes or something. Or wolves. Well, I don't know about wolves. They don't have wolves in Vermont. Oh, some states do. We had coyotes. Pack of coyotes take down a cow. If there's 15 or 20 of them, they could probably injure a cow enough to get it down. Not to mention we have catamounts in Vermont. Mountain lions. Don't let anyone tell you they don't. They do. I've seen them. But yeah. Only about 20% of the farms that used to exist when I was a kid are left. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, Vermont's got no money. Maple syrup and milking. That's it. Nope, maple syrup and dairy farming, and then tourism because it's pretty. But that's all it is. We don't have a whole lot up there. So most people up there are pretty self-sufficient. We got to figure out our own ways to survive, which is why a lot of people have farms. A lot of people hunt and fish because we're like, well, we don't hunt because we like to. We hunt because it's cheaper than going to the store. You can use a 10-cent bullet and kill a 150-pound deer and have enough meat to last you 3, 4, 5 months. Or you can, go spend $60 at the store and get enough for 2 weeks. It's practical. Also, venison's really good. I really like deer meat. I've had bear. Bear's gross. I don't ever eat bear. Moose is good. Venison's good. A little bit gamey, but it's very lean too. Venison is probably the most healthy red meat you can have. There's almost no fat on it. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. I started off talking about Canada. I went off on a hell of a tangent. It's 35 minutes. But anyways, just any comments? Anybody? Like I said, the question I said about 50 minutes when I tried to end it the first time and got off topic again. If any of you have been to Canada, what do you guys think? Would it be a place you would want to live or want to move to, or is it more a place you just want to visit? And those of you who have never been, is it a place you would like to visit? Would you like to visit Canada? And if so, what parts? I don't really have a specific part of Canada I'd want to move to. I'd probably end up moving to, I'd say like New Brunswick or Prince Edward Island, somewhere around that way. I'd say Quebec, but I don't really want to move to Quebec because I don't want to speak French. They speak French in Quebec, and I'd have to learn French if I moved to Quebec. Not because I'd necessarily have to know French to get a job. It's just easier, and most people speak French, so it's just easier to live if you have at least some kind of basic fluency in French. But no, that's why I want to move like Prince Edward Island or New Brunswick or maybe even Ontario, because those states all speak English. I mean, there's a lot of people that are bilingual there, but you don't have to be. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. I'm the Cranky Yankee. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're just browsing through, leave a comment if you want. And let me know what you think about Canada, if it's a place you'd like to go. Also, follow me on Patreon at the Cranky Yankee. Also on Twitch at TCY Gaming, twitch.tv/TCY Gaming. And on Twitter. I forget what it's spelt like, but I think it's down the description, or it's in the About Me section. My Twitter's there too. So yeah, it's all there. It's all in the About Me. So go check that out. Hit the bell icon too if you're a subscriber. Make sure you get all my notifications. That you want that. It's like a little bonus. It's like, oh, I get subscribed. It's like, oh, I get even more content now. And I just recently noticed too. I just recently surpassed 100 videos on this channel. So woohoo, that's cool. Also, I know it's not for a while, but my YouTube birthday, as I call it, is in September. So I will be doing. I'm going to start planning something special that I'm going to try to do for my channel, because it'll have been 1 year in September that I've had this channel, and I've already exceeded 100 videos, and it's slowly growing. I've got 13 subscribers. Those of you that watch these and those of you that are still here, I appreciate that. Thank you for your continued support and continued interaction, because I know I don't have a lot of you, but the fact that you're still here and the fact that you guys still watch my videos means a lot to me, because it's like, okay, I don't have a lot of people who care, but there are people who care. And because you guys still care, I'm still doing this. Until then, I'm the Cranky Yankee, also known as Jordy, also known as TCY, also known as that weird guy that lives in the shed. And we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day, guys. And we're done.